Tuesday, just because 2 of the people didn't come back to me. Potentially might need our subs. So I know you've spoken to Breach already. But yeah, just as an FYI, the committee meeting is on Tuesday. Apex, I did tell you. Hopefully you saw that message.
Guys, I'm so sorry. I must have missed the memo. I'll come back off the stage. I thought this was the round table. Let me just get myself off the stage, guys.
Hey, you feel free to stay.
Okay.
If you're here, I can do less talking.
Well, we all know I like the sound of my own voice, so I'm not sure that's always a good idea.
Yeah, no, it's the community AMA. The round table was meant to be just after it, wasn't it? But it's moved to Tuesday. If you can do Tuesday, Apex. If you can't, no worries. I'll get someone else in the team to join this one anyway.
Okay.
Basically, a couple of the community members that were meant to join didn't come back to me.
All right.
Yeah.
Apex, it'd be great. It'd be great for you. I know you shared it in an announcement, but just in case anybody missed it, it'd be good for you to maybe just give us a little sneak peek of some of the things that are going on with the Millionaires Club over the next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, as you guys know, I've put out a statement about the Mega AMA, and typically what we normally do with the AMAs is myself, Mina, we kind of cobble together what we think would be a good range of projects that would kind of bring a bit of verve to the community, give you guys a bit of insight, and obviously that comes with members, the potential investors, as well as giveaways to the community. But there's a lot more knowledge, I guess, out there in the field with you guys. So I just thought rather than kind of us decide on who that needs to be, maybe you guys could be the ones selected. And I've got to be honest, when I've looked at there's so many being put forward in the channel, which is great to see, because it means there's lots of engagement around this. So this may be, I'm not saying it's definitively, but this may be the best way moving forward on how to select, the projects that you guys want to see, rather than us decide on who they need to be. So I'm going to close that chapter on Sunday, and then we'll do some revision to figure out kind of who the top 5 candidates are, and then that'll give me
Do you remember, because there was a lot of really positive feedback. I reached out to JP and we had a conversation. I shared with him as well. There was a lot of really positive feedback after that session that he did before. Do you remember the projects? I think Void was one. Do you remember the other projects that he did the deep dive on?
No, off the top of my head, no. I can go back in and check.
Yeah.
I am going to cover JP in a sec. I just want to cover the Mega AMA piece.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So this is specifically around the Mega AMA piece. Just obviously we've seen a lot of engagement around it from you guys, which is great. Because then what I'll do is after the Sunday, after we close that, I'll then get in contact with the 5 projects and start that kind of ball rolling to get a Mega AMA that's centered around the projects you guys want to see, rather than, as I say us doing it. Now, the next piece of really good news, and this started, we've done a trial run on this probably about 3 or 4 months ago now. But not a lot of people could make it, unfortunately. Sorry, guys, someone was on my phone. I seem to remember at the time, not a lot of people could kind of be on that, and we did record the session. But for those that was on it, and I was on it as well, it was an amazing deep dive into 2 projects. One of them was Void. The project will come back to me at some point, hopefully on this call, but the level of deep dive that you do is probably doesn't scratch the surface when you as an investor goes and vets a project. You'll do the same kind of stuff, which will be, are they doxed? Have they had an audit? How many of us actually read that audit and look at what the important parts in that audit are? So what AJ does, and analysis on chain, that's his project and his product, is they do such a great deep dive where they're looking at things like, who's the actual dev? What are the projects has that dev been associated with? What kind of information can we garner from that dev? I.e., if we've got a photograph, or if he's doxed, do a search, use an image search to see what other associations he's got, what kind of a profile have they got. And oftentimes, for me personally anyway, understanding the associations with other projects, have they been in failed projects before? If you're in a project where you've invested into a DeFi project, but you're just not sure on the feasibility of it, because you as an individual, you haven't had the time to do the research. This is exactly what this is for. So what we've agreed with Analysis on Chain is that every month, again, we're going to go to the community and we're going to look at what the 2 highest selected projects are. And on the deep dive session, which is going to be the last Sunday of every month, it will be ultimately just what I've described. So it will be a really deep dive into the contract, understanding who's on the multi-sig, what associations they've had with other projects, some of the fundamentals that we probably don't do ourselves. And I, everyone puts their hands up as I don't know how much research. There's probably people who do go into that level of detail, but he has a real articulation. And because he's been doing it for such a long time now, the speed in which he can kind of go over these projects is a lot less than what he did do in the past. And he's also got a team behind him now, which I think like a few months ago it was just JP acting on his own. So purely as a benefit to the Millionaire Club members, as I said in the announcement, we'll be running kind of from the start of each month for 3 weeks, you guys to just fill out a form. It'll be just a standard link that will be up on the Millionaire Club members announcements page. You'll fill in the form. It'll be, just some basic questions. It'll be, what is the project you want to put forward? Why do you want to put this project forward? And just your username, so we know who's inputted that. Once we've collated that data, and we know the kind of how many have guided towards one project or another, that will give then JP a week to do his research and analysis, and then on the last Sunday of every single month, he will do his hour and I think it's an hour and a half session we've agreed. It may go on a little bit longer, but obviously it's time sensitive, so we've got to be careful. But it will be a deep dive. So it'll be your chance to put forward your projects that you want a deep dive on, A, before you invest, if it's a new project that hasn't launched, or B, if you kind of got some concerns yourself about a project that you're already invested in, that you'd want to know a little bit more of a deep dive about. And I think for me personally, that's an amazing kind of service to have as a benefit to the Millionaire Club members to kind of get into these. So that is our gift to you, gentlemen and ladies.
And ladies. Yeah, very good. Very good. And these things typically cost money. They definitely take time and effort, guys. So, that session was super, super popular before. So as with, Katie's mindfulness session, I think, we genuinely trying to build something where it's centered around community and it offers real value to community members. We should add a disclaimer. Obviously, they're just sharing a view, that can also be sensitive, right, for other people and other projects. So I think we should always sort of, it's not the project's view of other projects. It's somebody operating completely independently and they are impartial, offering sort of a hints and tips service where they show you how they investigate and how they do due diligence, and then just doing it on a couple of live projects. So just want to kind of add that disclaimer as well.
I'm glad you said that, actually, Danny, because one of the discussions we had just a short while ago is on that exact point. And kind of the way we phrased it is, look, this is completely objective. None of the information is done with a hint of being partial towards one side or the other. It's just cold, hard facts, which will be presented based on the analysis made. And ultimately, you as the investor, it's your decision on how you react to that information. And this is predominantly, number one, why we didn't just want to kind of put this out onto the kind of standard general channel and stuff like that. It is a more meaningful benefit, let's just say, to the Millionaire Club members. So it's not, what we probably do need to be mindful of is that we've had a lot of projects that have pitched in the past, and there'll be certain project leads, and they may, in inverted commas, be subject to this kind of analysis. So it's another reason why it's strictly for the Millionaire Club members as well. But like Danny's just said, it's completely impartial. It's just cold, hard facts of the analysis that's provided on these projects. So well said, mate.
Cool. Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay, let's crack on with the agenda, because we've got so much, to be honest. There's even things on there that I did share a cheeky agenda in the yacht club. and there's even things on there that are missing. Actually, we should probably do an update on what's happening with Gravity in 100 days also, and also just provide an update also on Betswell, which we announced last Friday and we haven't gone live yet, albeit that's not on the Betswell guys. That is most definitely on us. So should we crack on with the agenda, Alice?
Yeah, if you want to crack on, I'll monitor for any questions. That's okay.
Yeah, no, I might defer a couple of things back to you, just for some input. But look, I think in terms of 2-week recap, I think we haven't done this for 2 weeks because we did the roadmap update, not Monday this week, Monday before. So we're nearly at 2 weeks since we've done this. Obviously, from a macro point of view, the markets continue to be extremely challenging. I think the challenge with the difficult market is that as time goes on, there's less new investors come in. There's more investors are burnt by other projects. It's very difficult when you're a project that's performing in this market, actually, because I think it can you kind of you're fighting on all fronts in a sense, because your investors are losing money in other projects quite often. So you then become a source of liquidity. If people have lost a lot of money in other projects, then maybe they lose the appetite for the industry altogether, certainly for the time being. And then there's kind of less people coming in as well. So we're always trying to press on the things that we can control and not spend too much time worrying and talking about the things that we can't. But that's obviously the environment. If we look at sort of like recent highs of sort of 2 months ago, back in August, B&B's down 20% ish. Give or take, but obviously we've fared very well versus the market. But I just want to be very real that things we are continuing to do lots of good things week in, week out, which I think is helping us fight against the tide. But I wouldn't be surprised if things don't continue to be challenging over the next few months. Not financial advice, but just advice for people. I would recommend just being very careful, especially, things that are extremely high risk. I think James did a brilliant video, if anyone has seen it. It was basically just like look, this is investing, right? Crypto is the highest risk level of investing. When you start investing in things that deliver 20,000% APY, then you're investing in the highest level, in the highest risk category of investing, right? And so be very, very careful. I feel for me, anything that's offering we're offering sensible APYs that are not fixed, and we're fighting really hard. We're working really hard to maintain momentum where there's very little liquidity in the market. Other organizations that are offering huge APYs, it's their problem is compounded by the lack of liquidity. So just a bit of advice: be careful. I think we've seen a huge uptick in terms of conversations around Gravity. Gravity is completely unpredictable. We've just had a Gravity project we found out yesterday isn't going to move forward, that Alice has been working hard on for many weeks, and they've decided to do something else. But then 100 days happens in a day, right? So often the ones that you work on hard for a long time then don't happen, because you require the leadership of the project on the other side to remain engaged in the process. And then other times things just come out of nowhere really quickly. So we do actually have a bit of an announcement around. Have we put out the announcement around Obsidian and Gravity, Alice?
No.
No? Okay. Well, so we have an announcement regarding House of Obsidian and Gravity, and that's one of the ways that we provide a happy island in a very difficult space at the moment, and so we're continuing to push on that side. I don't know whether last 2 weeks are interesting. We're going to talk a bit about Infinity in a moment. I think from an MDB point of view, I think over the last 11 days we've certainly stabilized significantly from a price point, even though the market has continued to still go down. There is still lots of protocol purchasing power to be deployed. So we're sitting at sort of 2.3 million in the core fund, about 1.3 million in the Infinity fund at the moment. So we still have the capability to be aggressive. And we also have obviously things like the EMP we'll talk about in a second. We also have continued sort of buying pressure coming from different sort of utilities that we're building into the ecosystem. So we still feel extremely confident in terms of our model. You know, volume is definitely a little bit pushed, but Alice, I keep going to call you Mina. I wonder if you could just give maybe just a brief update in case anyone's from 100 days, just in terms of where we are in the process and what the next few days looks like.
Yeah, of course. So I have been posting reminders pretty much every day for the guys that come over from 100 days to register their wallet. So it's really important you do this. We recently changed the way we do Gravity, only ever so slightly, just, you know, based on investor feedback. And what that means is latecomers can't claim anything. The money or you know, any of the assets that are there are distributed to all of the holders that claim. This means those active investors get more money, they get more value, but it does mean that people that maybe don't monitor their investment and they turn up in like a month or two can't get any money. So if you haven't registered, you need to do that. It closes tomorrow. Think about 4 or 5 p.m. UTC. It's in the announcements channel, in the Gravity announcements channel. So just make sure that you do submit your wallet. Otherwise, like I say, you won't have the opportunity to claim. And then the airdrop should usually happen within sort of 48 hours-ish. Obviously, is a Saturday evening, our time, and we do rely on some staff to make that work for us. So just bear that in mind. It might delay things ever so slightly whilst we work non-stop. Obviously, not all people do. They have families and such. Whilst we do, we often still work evenings and stuff. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent. So yeah, make sure you've done that. It normally takes about 48 hours to then sort that process out. What we tend to do is put out a spreadsheet sort of within 24 hours that will give you the opportunity to just check what you've got. Now, it's really important to note that we don't do it based on necessarily the tokens or the token value. It's more about your proportionate share of the claim. So you will get your proportionate share of the assets. So if you have 0.5% of the total claim, that's how much the tokens in your wallet equate to when sort of divvied up between everybody, then you'll get 0.5% of the overall assets. So just bear that in mind when checking any spreadsheets that are sent out for you guys to double check your wallets on there and such. And then you just have to sit and wait, basically. We'll get the airdrop done to you. Just make sure you add the MDB contract address in your wallet so you can see it. But yeah, pretty straightforward, but you will get the opportunity to check that your wallet's there and it's been sort of picked up correctly. But yeah, you've got like 24 hours to claim. So just make sure you do that within the next 24 hours.
Very good. Yeah, just in terms of the numbers side of it, so the strike price was already called. I believe the strike price is less than the price is today, and we honour that. But obviously, if there's price movement in the other way, you know, we call a strike price and we stick with it, and that's just so there's a very clear point in time that all sides have to stick to, and obviously the price is always moving, but yeah. So look, if everyone wants to leave this and you know go and buy, if all 62 people here want to buy a bit of MDB and the price moves up, then you're still going to get the same amount of MDB as that strike price. It would just be worth more when it comes to you than the assets that we've received. But obviously the same in the opposite can happen. We will, once we understand the claims have come in, we've got a little bit of work to do, because we will always be flexible during the Gravity. I think I mentioned an example of that previously, but for instance, from 100 days, there's some liquid assets, there's some illiquid assets as well. However, we are going to we're going to do an evaluation of those illiquid assets and provide liquidity in place of them and absorb them into the trust fund, which obviously comes with a bit of risk for us, and credit to, you know, the community is made up of people that have come through this process as well, right? But I've never had somebody in the 6 months that we've been doing this come to me and say, why did we bend over to, I don't mean forwards, I mean bend over backwards, to help these people. So we'll always be a little bit flexible. So we've got to do an evaluation of the liquid assets, something that we believe is fair for all parties. And once we know that number and we know what's been claimed, you remove anything that isn't claimed. So then that isn't included in the pie, if you like. And then the pie is then split up proportionately to the people that have claimed. We've gone round and round, like Alice said. Someone will always turn up in 3 months. People still turn up now to our first ever one, right, from 6 months ago. Say, hey, where do I claim my MDB? Unanimously, every time we've gone to the community and said, do you want us to keep some back for people that turn up later? The unanimous answer is no. We just want this done, close it. And that obviously comes at a cost for us to administer that process as well. So this is kind of unless we get significant pushback from a group, but it seems unanimously people are for that process where we sort of airdrop as quickly as possible all of the funds and look, there's a claim process and then the door's closed, unfortunately. So cool. So now should we talk a little bit about because there's so much going on with the EMP NFT at the moment, and I think over the next 48 hours you're going to see just a lot of stuff come to life as well. Alice, I wonder if you'd be able to share maybe just like a rundown of some of the things that are happening over the next 7 days leading up to the first sort of partner mint that we're doing next Sunday.
Yeah, so you will see very shortly the AMA, the event schedule fill up like crazy. So Danny and AJ are doing the rounds with AMAs. They'll be everywhere, basically. You'll probably be fed up of the both of them by the end of the week. And we're actually releasing a sneak peek of the NFT artwork later today. So whilst this is obviously a collaboration, it is led by EMP because we've also done our own NFT collections already. So this is a little bit different. The artwork is something different. So I'm excited to share it with you. And yeah, so that's being released later today. I think it's at 7 p.m. UTC. I'm going to announce, the sneak peek. And then, loads of AMAs coming up. Make sure to follow those. I'll be doing some stuff on Twitter. So if you are on Twitter, please make sure you follow, retweet, help get the word out. It's always really important to get community support in these things. And then, there'll obviously be details to follow on where you can mint them, how you can mint them, etc., etc. Now, they're only going to be live for less than a day. The mint will run for, but we'll confirm that close to the time exactly how that will work. And they are actually a little bit more affordable. I say affordable, depends on obviously your budget. They are cheaper than the previous collections that we've done. That's because there is more of them. And obviously rewards will be proportionate to the overall cost of the NFT for the holder. So just bear that in mind when you're looking at the price and why it's a little bit less than the previous collections. But yeah, it's going to be busy. We'll also get a light paper release so you can understand the way the rewards work on it, hopefully by sort of early next week. So you've got a few days to make a decision on whether you'd like to sort of grab one of those and try and mint one on Sunday. So yeah, it's going to be exciting to do that. I'm really excited to share the artwork with you guys later because it is a little bit different to what we've done before. So it's something new. So if you didn't like the Phoenixes, you've got the opportunity to maybe get something a little bit different.
Yeah, and we there's lots of other details to come out as well around the legendaries, the way that's going to work, how you can maybe snap up a legendary before the mint. The mint process is very unique. This is an EMP project, right, in partnership with with MDB. So I suppose we're a little bit cautious with the details. It's very easy when you've got two teams for me to just me spilling my guts and then just taking a load of heat off Alice, I can live with. But obviously, it's up to EMP sort of both the schedule and also the release of information as it goes. But I can tell you that the mint process on the face of it, it looks like 2,500, really easy to get. It's not actually. There's a bit of gamification to it, and I can't remember exactly what's been shared, but I won't say much more. But the mint process isn't a straightforward mint, actually. So it'd be really interesting. And just to add on top of that, we're also, I know I've dropped a couple of bits of alpha. We'll be looking to release details in the next 24 hours. We will be minting a significant number of NFTs as a protocol. And we will be finding a way of incentivizing people that do mint actually using some of those NFTs, and it'll be pretty interesting. It's going to be focused purely on Millionaires Club members again, because it's quite an investment actually. Yeah, details to drop in the next 48 hours. But if you mint and you're in the Millionaires Club, then you're going to have a very good probability of maybe being able to earn more NFTs as well, just by minting. So yeah, details on that to come soon. Was there anything else you wanted to cover on EMP, Alice?
So just with the legendaries, there's 5. There's only 5 available. So when you get details of how getting one of those will work, if you are interested in legendary, then yeah, there is only 5. So they will be quite difficult to get your hands on. Obviously, otherwise it wouldn't be legendaries, I suppose. But yeah, so there's 5 of them, and yeah, like Danny said, we're a little bit limited on what we can say, just because it is an EMP-led project. We're supporting them on it, but it is, their baby, so to speak. We don't want to give too much away before we've confirmed, announcements, schedules, and stuff with them. So just keep your eyes peeled. It will all be revealed. But one thing I can, definitely tell you is at 7 p.m. UTC. So in 4-ish hours, the sneak peek artwork will be revealed.
Cool. So moving on then. So Xenia update sneak peek. So we, amongst everything else that's going on, we finished the scoping session in the last week as well. Regarding there's 3 core changes that are a priority. We're not committing to them because there's still a costing question and also a timing question. But I can tell you what the 3 are in case you didn't already know. So the first, which I think will be really interesting, is Phoenix Plus automation, and the spec that we've got down to is really interesting actually. Like I say, spec is subject to change, but at the moment, this is what the framework looks like. Is that what we would do is add a function into Xenia, which you would actually connect your wallet and enable a feature within MDB Plus. So rather than enabling the feature in Phoenix Plus, or as having to have a staking contract, so therefore you're holding staked Phoenix Plus and then all of that stuff, instead you would connect your wallet to Xenia. You set MDB Plus to auto, and you can also set an amount that you wouldn't want to go back into Phoenix Plus. So you could say, I want to keep $100 of MDB Plus at all times, but anything over $100 then will automatically be flipped back into Phoenix Plus. So that would mean that then you could go and put $1,000 into Phoenix Plus, you're cashed out into MDB Plus, and it will automatically rebuy back into Phoenix Plus. And because then it will use the mint functions between the contracts rather than going BNB to BUSD, BNB, and then back into the native token, it will save 0.5% on the transaction as well, which if you do that significant number of times over the year, then that's going to save a lot of APY over the year as well. So we're super excited about that. The second thing will be an auto farm, and it won't replace the farm that we've got at the moment. It would sit alongside it. So again, you'd be providing liquidity to MDB. However, it would automatically sell half of your rewards for BNB and then pair with the MDB and then put back into the farm. So you effectively then auto compounding in that farm. So that's number 2. And number 3, which I've got a question here as well, and I'd love to get feedback in the AMA questions. So number 3, it will be a swapper on Xenia, enabling you to swap between any asset within the MDB ecosystem. You just literally select from asset to asset, and it will manage the transactions between them. Imagine just a swapper built on top of a swapper. That's basically what it will be. It's not an exchange. There isn't LPs in the background. It's interacting with existing LPs, either the LPs in the contracts for the stable backed assets or the LPs on PCS when we're talking about Infinity or MDB. So I think that's really cool. One thing that I'm curious about is that we do typically have BUSD and BNB on hand, and it probably wouldn't be there could be an option for us to add a swap function between those two, but it would be more work. The question is whether that would be seen of value to people and whether they would use a BNB BUSD swapper if it was available on our website. So yeah, interested or available on our D app. Interested in any feedback on that particular item. But that's the three main changes that we're looking at for Xenia, and we've got no concerns from a time point of view. In fact, I think we said end of November in the plan. Potentially, those would go live by the middle of November. So we'll probably set up an event around that as well, because I think that'd be pretty cool. Happy to answer any questions on that, or I'm just having a look. Is there any? Are you looking, Alice?
Yeah. So, MSO asks, will there be a way to transfer the current farm to the auto compounding farm?
Oh, good question. Not something I've thought about.
There we go. Something we will look into for sure. We'll need to speak that to the dev team, I suppose. A little bit unrelated, but sort of relevant to our last point that we didn't really give time for questions for. If EMP were to collapse, would you dissolve the partnership?
Would we dissolve the partnership?
Something's collapsed. There isn't really a partnership anyway, is there? If something was collapsed, I don't know if I've misunderstood.
Yeah, I don't look. I think if and we've no reason to believe that's the case. So I'm not sure where the question's coming from, but anything is possible in DeFi in this market, as we've seen with recent things with the yield nodes, for instance. So we certainly don't take anything for granted. But if we were in a position, yield nodes as a partner, and they're obviously going through some difficult times at the moment, it's not really our place to put the boot into people or organizations. Partnerships are, I've said it with the yield nodes. There's very few DeFi investments that are making people money at the moment on the bigger picture, or have done over the last few months, because it's been very difficult. That being said, I can say hand on heart that every DeFi investment and partnership that we've had so far has definitely covered itself and a lot more. So I wouldn't want to be in a situation where we've partnered and then, I don't really see that as our place, to be honest. I don't know if that answers the question. Sorry if it feels like I'm dodging it.
No, fine. Will Xenia display the fees for each swap, or just the amount received? That's quite specific, isn't it?
Yeah, I think TBC.
TBC. Just scrolling through. I'm not asking that one. Lord Seagrass said maybe they're asking if you'd prop up an EMP if they were going down. I don't see that we'd ever prop up another project. Personally, I don't know if you've got a different thought on that, Danny, but
it's not really in our playbook.
Hang on, a lot of this is just chat about it rather than questions.
Okay.
I think that's, and if I've missed any, then let me know. Oh, hang on, no, Master's got one. This is similar to already asked, really. So it's about the taxless fund. So regarding that transfer from farm to farm, would it be taxless, albeit this is the first time you've thought about it, or because the auto compound is a bit of a luxury, would it incur a smaller tax? I guess that's the same as the previous one, right? Not something we've really thought about in detail, but something we will need to take back to the team and make a decision on. Let's see if it's even possible, I suppose.
Yeah, indeed. I think there would probably be, if you look at someone like Beefy and they do auto, somebody come in the community recently and they said, "Oh, I've got an idea. Why didn't you do this?" And I think, I used what I would say in a normal business, which is, what's the ROI? Every time we change something, you're launching a new contract, you're making UI changes, it costs money, time, and the question is that money and time that could have a better impact? So, yeah, so it's not everything's possible. The question is always how much and how long does it take, and does it deliver return on investment? So we'll look into it, but there would be a small service fee on the auto farm, as there is with things like beefy, but it's very small. But clearly the idea is that it's less than the compound impact of having your rewards compound daily.
Yeah, cool. Well, I think that's it for questions for that. So did you want to carry on, unless Apex has got any questions about it specifically? No. Okay, cool. Carry on.
Cool. So Infinity, 1 month in. So it's been a month and 3 days since we launched Infinity. It's been an interesting journey so far, because obviously we had quite good hype. We had a lot of volume right at the start. We've then had 3 different versions of the Infinity games, which have, I think all of them have had their pros and cons, and even still, I think the third one was, for me, the most enjoyable and definitely the most interesting. However, there's always feedback which we're welcome to, and we've still got to keep working on it. I think what's really clear, and there's no point in trying to avoid the elephant in the room, in the market at the moment, liquidity is very low. So liquidity low, volume low, and yeah. So I think with Infinity not being the primary token within the ecosystem, then you're seeing quite low volumes there. We've obviously, Breach, thank you, Breach, you come up with, a brilliant idea in terms of a trading competition, which closes today, actually. So Harley will be running some numbers and then announcing the winners. It hasn't, it's probably our worst week in terms of volume, actually, and that's not because of despite the trading competition and the interest. So we are acutely aware that volume is relatively low. I think it's always good to get a bit of perspective as well. So if we I think we've got more ideas up our sleeve, and the fundamentals for Infinity are extremely strong at the moment. So if we remove the non-circulating supply as of this moment in time, then the market cap would be somewhere around 1.8 million, and the funds, including liquidity that is backing it, is somewhere in the region of about 1.35, 1.36 million. So the burn rate is extremely high. We've got plans to burn another 20,000 tokens today, actually. So in a month we will be getting close to having organically burned around 7.5%. From a price point, obviously launch price was 20 cents. Price today is 28.71. So for the month, if you were lucky enough to be at pre-sale, then or buy at launch price, however you did that, then in a month you're up about 40% at the moment in something that's still massively backed. We've got some stuff we're going to share in a minute. We've got a lot more deployments to come over the next 2 weeks as well. So we're going to see quite an aggressive sort of uptick in terms of the continued buybacks of Infinity, actually. So it's a little bit of appreciate when volume's low and the chart is kind of staying within a fairly static range, but it has only been 30 days. It is up 40%. I'm open to just a little bit of a quiz. How much in MDB do you think has been distributed to stakers in the first month of Infinity? And I don't want anyone to cheat, because I think you could work it out on the blockchain, actually. But just off the cuff, in the next 10 seconds, and we'll do $25 of MDB to the person who gets closest in terms of the number. So, like I say, 30 seconds. What is the value of MDB that has been distributed to Infinity stakers in the first month?
Value or amount of MDB?
Value. I don't know the amount, to be honest. I worked out 1 million MDB. I can tell you it's much, much, much more than 1 million MDB. a lot of people putting MDB numbers. It's a cash amount I'm looking for. So I'm going to 10 seconds and then I'm going to pick a winner. That's it. Stop. No more, no more, no more. After that word stop, it's out. So I'm just going to pick a winner very quickly. So the amount, and maybe you can help me actually, Alice. You could look whilst I say. So the amount is $95,000 of MDB has been bought and distributed to stakers and also the Infinity Yacht Club NFT holders. That works out as about 8.7% interest over a month. And then clearly it's not consistent, because if you staked right at the start, you've probably had 12%. If you staked a week ago, you've had a lot less, right? So there's going to be big variations. So these are just averages. But the average across all of the, if you just do it rewards divided by tokens, is about 8.7% compounded over a year. It's about 160% APY for infinity staking. Now, clearly, I think if you looked at a graph over the 4 weeks, that would have come down towards the end, because we had the treasure chest and there was $40,000 worth of MDB was distributed in the first week to stakers. But I think that's a really interesting number, because it shows that Infinity 1 month in, the fundamentals are super strong. The optics might not be ideal at the moment in terms of volume, and maybe, we'd all love it to moon, right? But actually it is up 40% and it's running at 167-ish% APY on staking rewards as well. So I think from a financial perspective, it's it's been pretty interesting. And was it Dumpay that was closest?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. After a quick check, so $25 of MDB to Dumpay. But yeah, no, I thought it was really interesting when we looked at the numbers. What do we want from Infinity? We want, obviously, the price to go crazy. We want millions of dollars of liquidity into it. And I think, being very open, we've got just under 1,000 holders of Infinity. Some of those would just be dust, right, of people that have sold. And the market, even from a month ago, is more challenging today than it was before. So we're acutely aware that we are spread thin as a protocol, and we need to keep pumping in those burns and also more activity around Infinity. We know that. If we just look at the hard numbers, it's not a bad place at all. 3% in a month, 160% APY on single staking at the moment, which is absolutely insane. So, track the rest of your assets over the last 4 weeks, and I think it could be a hell of a lot worse. But we recognise that clearly it needs to get a little bit more exciting in there as well. So we're thinking about that. Okay. Moving forward, so just to close off, there's a couple of updates. So a couple of things that I'll share with you. So obviously, when we did the roadmap nearly 2 weeks ago, we talked about MDB AI, and we talked about the Monday Club. So work has continued. So we're looking at automation and trading solutions. Some are on trial, some are being tested at the moment. Others we're going through analysis phase. There's a lot of work that you don't see. And I'm very happy with the progress that we've made on that front, actually. So all of the things that we said actually 2 weeks ago in the roadmap, I feel you're always nervous with a roadmap, because it kind of puts some something that you can be held accountable to, if I'm completely honest. But I actually feel like really bullish. 2 weeks on, we're making progress on all fronts. It looks really strong. So Xenu updates looks really strong. MDB AI looks really strong. As we go deeper into that topic, there's even more innovation and ideas that we're coming across. So we feel really good about that. Monday Club just has a natural fit within our ecosystem and does have links to AI as well. So we're super happy about that. So we'll be deploying more things, both from a technology and also an investment standpoint over the next 60 days, and watching them closely and playing around as we refine that model ready for Q1 of next year. So feeling really happy. The on the real life business front, it's been really interesting actually. I think, you know, privately, most people don't see this, where we've got a concept. We're in the process of speccing that concept out, and you do two types of testing really. You test the solution, that says a feasibility review, and you're then also then starting to talk to the market. So, you know, I shared before that I had a review session with an EVP of a Fortune 500 manufacturer Sunday just gone. I had another review yesterday of a managing director of a distribution business who works with lots of OEMs. I've got on Monday another call with a business contact of mine in Georgia in the US who runs a manufacturing business, a global manufacturing business. And so far, going through both feasibility and also market testing, the feedback is really strong in terms of what we've got. What we do then next, and maybe where we're struggling quite a bit, is we need to there's a branding and logo, business name, all of those things. I don't know, Alice, obviously me and you've been pulling our hair out for a long time now. Yeah. So there's a lot of, quite often people go, here's Phalange, and Phalange is going to change the world, and then they run off for 6 months trying to work out what Phalange is going to be. We've been working really hard and have a really clear view of what we're building, and we feel really confident about the timeline, the business plan, and the pace that we can move at to get to maybe even MVP by the end of this year, certainly early Q1. And maybe the jazzy marketing stuff is the bit that is maybe holding us back, maybe sharing a bit more information at the moment, but that shouldn't be too far away, I hope.
No, we're working on it, aren't we? It's just we've just got to get it right. It's got to be absolutely right. So yeah, it's a tough one, but it'll come to us. It will happen.
Yeah, it will happen. Definitely. Yeah. So just to recap, so you know, we're going through feasibility at the moment, and market testing, like I say, you know, is very positive. We had another meeting today, actually, right before this, getting feedback from engineers on the feasibility side. Yeah, and we feel very confident. So it's long and short of it's real world applications that leverage DLT blockchain technology. It's something that doesn't exist at the moment, kind of disrupts like common practices, has huge potential. You know, the market for it is significant, and it solves huge problems in the business space. So yeah, we're feeling very good about that, but at the moment we can't even, you know, put out any sort of information. So we'll have website, some information coming out, and then we'll be looking, like I say, MVP would be nice by the end of this year. It might be a bit tough because I think you certainly go through a few iterations of that, but certainly we'll have some meat on the bone by the end of this year, and then we'll be aiming to have an MVP. And you know, really the goal is to be revenue generating within 6 months from this point.
Could you just explain what MVP is, please? Someone's asked.
Yeah, sorry, minimum viable product. So it's, you know, it's enough to start selling it and onboarding customers in a SaaS environment, software as a service environment for B2B applications. Yeah,
I think yeah, you need to remember that not everyone comes from the business background you do. So yeah. Might not know what your acronyms mean.
Yeah, it's an interesting space I'm operating in at the moment, because I spend my time explaining business acronyms to degens, and yeah, blockchain acronyms to business people.
Yeah. Cool. So we've got a question from MSL. Will this new AI and B2B product be linked back to the MDB token or something separate?
There are two different things. MDB AI will sit within the MDB ecosystem, so it's and it's just an expansion of our suite without any dilution. It's not a new token or anything like that. The the B2B application would have to be a standalone business. You know, the way DeFi protocols sort of sit and legislations, you know, we're working through that with advisors at the moment in terms of business structures, but there will obviously be a link there, but yeah, it'd be a standalone organization that MDB would profit from.
Cool. I think that's the only question I can see. Cool.
We're doing it the wrong way round, because you're meant to raise first and then work out what you're going to do. That's what other people seem to be doing sometimes. Not to point any fingers, but yeah, we're trying to build something first, and then we worry about taking it to market.
Yeah, we're doing it the responsible way, right?
Oh, because sometimes your idea, you know, this isn't our first idea, I'll be honest. And, you know, sometimes you come up against real world barriers with an idea, and that's why you don't, yeah, that's why you do things in a certain order. Everyone's still complaining about Dumpay winning.
No. So cool. Anything else? You got anything else to add?
No. When the Godfather talk about cosmology, what is I see dead people? You said we're doing it the right way round. Cough, cough, Theranos. Oh, so it's funny because we were talking about Theranos, weren't we? I think somebody in Sphere said that we're like Theranos. It's all going to come crashing down. It's not real, but yeah. So as everybody has their perceptions.
I used to get really, what's the word? Not upset, but things like that used to really bother me when people would say stuff like that. But I don't really care anymore because I know that it's not true anyway. So
this industry numbs you out, though, doesn't it?
It really does.
You know, I said on the AMA before. Do you remember the first time we were scammed, and that person pretending to be a YouTuber and they got a few $100s off of us or something? But it was like, how dare you? And yeah. And now we get scammed. We're like, yeah, we got scammed.
It's it's a nightmare, to be honest. But we're 7 months in the space now, maybe even 8 months. So obviously, we've been launched for 6 months, and we were working on this for like, you know, a good few months beforehand. And I think in that time, you just become desensitized to it all, to be honest. We're gonna need
to start thinking about what we want to do for our 1 year anniversary soon.
I know, yeah. It's crazy how quickly it's gone, to be honest. Obviously, like
what
6
a milestone.
DeFi is huge as well. Like, so many projects don't even last 6 weeks. So yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, it's just you do get.
It's like 7 months, loosely translated into 7 years.
I think I've aged that as well.
I know, but in terms of that desensitized piece, it's absolutely spot on. I mean, you get such a thick skin in this space just by virtue of dealing with the many, I don't want to say reprobates, but and I'm not referring to anyone within our community, because I feel our community is probably one of the most, if not the most mature in terms of investors and understanding that we're probably building something a bit different than the kind of standard riffraff project. However, you know, anyone who's been in this space enough time realizes that you learn some things quite quickly, and you build up a thick skin even faster. It's just I think everyone probably just goes through that development in this space.
Definitely. And one thing I've learned as well, and I've had countless conversations with people and countless debates, and even like sometimes I've sort of let myself slip a little bit and actually got into like an argument with somebody over something. And what I'm learning, and obviously, you know, I've learned so much in this space as it is. Running a project is so different to investing in a project, but people form these opinions of projects, and frequently they're not based on any fact. They're based on like a feeling or an emotion or an assumption. And so no matter how much you try and explain why they're wrong in saying that, they don't care. It's not going to change their opinion of you, right? So some people don't like MDB, and you know, that is fine. That is absolutely their choice. And I used to get really bothered by that and be like, well, hang on a minute, like the reason you're saying you don't like us isn't even true. That's not even factual. But now you've just got to let it go. That, you know, they've made that opinion on nothing, and they're going to stand by that opinion regardless, because it's, you know, it's emotional, it's a feeling to them. They don't really look at it logically to have come to that conclusion in the first place. So yeah, it's difficult, and like I still have to sometimes, like if I see it somewhere, I have to like switch my computer off or whatever so that I don't get dragged into it. But yeah, you know, you can't reason with somebody who's formed an opinion for no reason at all, basically. But so I'm just looking at the chat. It looks like it's gone a bit wild. I love the way that Danny says that was it Apex said that it's mature. And then have you seen the chat, Apex, with the gifs and stuff?
No, it is one of my frequently used words, by the way. So if I'm getting a ribbon in there, I probably deserve it.
Cool. Right. Danny, have you got anything else you want to add before we wrap it
No.
up?
No, not at all. Really excited for the next week. I think it's quieting down. It hasn't quieted down behind the scenes, but maybe on the surface has been a little bit quieter this week, which you know, this it kind of moves in ebbs and flows. We've got 100 days drop in the next couple of days, which is big. We've got a gravity drop very soon. Looks like in the text chat that looks done and dusted, doesn't it, Alice? That other one that we've been talking to. So there'll be some news coming out on that. We've got a partnership around gravity with House of Obsidian, which is going to be dropping soon. We've got 1 million AMAs over the next 7 days. We've got an AMA with James Pelton as well next week. We've got an AMA with Dow King on Monday. So yeah, definitely a lot of late nights, a lot more action coming next week as well. And yeah, watch this space, because there's going to be plenty of buying of Infinity. I feel confident. We've been holding back a little bit and taking a very patient approach. So we've definitely got some deployments coming over the next week. So yeah, like, thanks everyone for coming. Appreciate, you know, you've all got busy lives, and yeah, look forward to the next 6 months.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone, and we will speak to you soon.
Cheers, guys.